Ladies and gentlemen, you welcome to this news hour on Equinoxe Television. I am Babble Jonathan. In our top story, fear, uncertainty grow in the town of Kumba, Meme Division, southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. 2 explosive devices discovered in less than 42 hours in that part of the country, hit by socio-political and security tensions, as it is the case across the 2 English-speaking regions of the Republic of Cameroon. And the High Commission of Canada paints a disturbing situation of a humanitarian crisis in the Republic of Cameroon, with more than 4 million people in need of humanitarian aid. Those were top stories. Two explosive devices discovered by inhabitants of the town of Kumba in the Meme Division, southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. The explosive devices were destroyed by security and defense forces, and fear and uncertainty growing in the town as a result of the increasing use of other weapons, notably explosive devices, by non-state armed groups within the context of the close to 5-year-long socio-political and security tensions across the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon. Manjikan Gebre reports.
Helpless inhabitants of Kumba, Meme Division, went panicking again after a bomb was discovered at a filling station in the Commercial Avenue.
This one too, fortunately, was discovered, and the forces succeeded to deactivate it before the criminal could do his action.
The bomb was discovered by a taxi driver who thought the bag containing the locally made explosive was belonging to a passenger in his car. The vigilance of this taxi driver saved the lives of the passengers in his car.
We have called on the population to be very vigilant. Very vigilant in the sense that every morning, every business person, nobody should minimize any object in front of his or her store. Because
of the strategic position that the locally made bomb was placed, the military used the water pump of the Army Rescue Unit to push the bomb out of the filling station before it was detonated. Authorities call for more collaboration.
We are calling on the population to be once more collaborate with the forces of law and order to stamp out this criminality.
The discovery of this bomb at the filling station came just 8 hours after another was seen at the main gate of the Kumba market Thursday. If all the 2 locally made bombs in Kumba left no destruction, the one that occurred at Ekok in Manu Division, southwest region, took away the lives of 3 alleged separatist fighters. According to military report, the poor manipulation of the bomb by these alleged separatist fighters caused it to detonate on them. By the side of the military control post that the bomb detonated was an AK-47 gun alongside 12 cartridges.
You rightly indicated, Smart Njikan Gebre, less than 24 hours before the discovery of the explosive device at the Bokom filling station in the Kumba. Another one was discovered at the entrance into the market, and it was destroyed by security and defense forces. And according to the city mayor of Kumba, if that bomb or that locally made explosive device actually detonated or was detonated by those who planted it there, it could have led to the death of tens of persons. Once more, Sumanjika Ngebre.
Barricades at the main entrance into Kumba market. and the zone heavily militarized. Outside the market, business persons are gathered.
If the night watchman of the market wasn't vigilant, I think this would have caused the death of so many. Being a very busy day of the Kumba market, you know, having such, I would say, an element, a bomb at the entrance of the market, where the people converge and it is always packed jam full. If they detonated that bomb, I am sure not less than 25-50 people would have been killed.
A locally fabricated bomb discovered at the main gate into the market provoked the tension that forced people to stand outside. If not for the gate man who noticed and called the security forces, people would have fallen. Vigilance is the watchword.
Everybody should increase the vigilance which we have, because it is actually the people who can, you know, better play, I would say, security agent. The police cannot be everywhere. The soldiers, the military officers cannot be everywhere. So I think the population has to be very vigilant to make sure that, you know, they take note of every little minute irregularity which they find around, so that they can inform the police, they can inform the administration.
Security forces under the command of Mbode Charles, the commissioner of the Central Police Station in Kumba, detonated the bomb. Some meters away from the main market, it was a popular bar that was almost burnt into ashes early Thursday morning.
Few minutes to 5, I received a call.
The manager said the fire was noticed between 4 to 5 a.m. and the timely intervention enabled the fire to be put off. Some crates and a flat screen television set were however destroyed.
And the security crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. Added to that, the Boko Haram issue in the far north region of the country and the security problems caused by Seleka rebels making sporadic incursions into the east region of Cameroon from the neighboring Central African Republic have provoked a disturbing humanitarian crisis in the country, and the Canadian High Commission to Cameroon is painting a disturbing situation, but also bringing in aid in millions of francs CFA to help in fighting the growing humanitarian crisis, with the increasing number of persons, about 4 million and more, who are in need of assistance. For me, Armstrong Sander, Faisal details.
The High Commission of Canada to Cameroon reveals disturbing facts and figures on the humanitarian crisis in Cameroon. It says Cameroon is gripped by the world's most neglected displacement crisis, and goes further to say that an estimated 4.4 million people are in need of humanitarian assistance this year. The figures, according to the High Commission, increased from 3.9 million in 2021. A press statement from the Canadian High Commission indicates that this is due to the prolonged insecurity and displacement crisis in the far north, northwest, southwest and east regions. The statement goes further to highlight the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, and added to that of climate change related flooding that has created food insecurity in areas not previously impacted by the humanitarian crisis. As one of Cameroon's principal partner in humanitarian response, Canada has announced a $5.8 million gender response humanitarian assistance for 2021. The assistance, according to the press release from the High Commission, is being delivered through United Nations agencies, the International Committee of the Red Cross, and non-governmental organizations. Detailing further, the release states that the humanitarian assistance includes support for the provision of food, nutrition and health services, clean water and sanitation, as well as protection services. Revealing this in Yaoundé on May 11, 2021, the Canadian High Commissioner to Cameroon, Richard Bill, stated that his country remains committed to providing ongoing humanitarian support as Cameroon faces escalating crises in the far north, northwest, southwest and the east regions. Bill says the humanitarian support from Canada will go alongside their support to reduce drivers of conflicts.
Now we take you to Cameroon's political capital, Yaoundé, to talk about murder case, a situation which has provoked angry reactions from across the board. A man serving in the Cameroonian Navy accused of having killed his wife. On his part, he talks of suicide. For me, Armstrong Sanda, rather, Innocent Aze, for in details in this report.
A family mourning the alleged assassination of their daughter, a teacher by profession, Charlotte Claire Ngono, by her husband, Clement Mendo, in the night of Tuesday, May 11th, breaking Wednesday, May 12th, in the Oja neighborhood in the Yaoundé 4th subdivision. Daughter of the deceased woman reveals that Tuesday night was a tense one between the couples. We thought the dispute was going to be over. He kept shouting at my mother and she quietly went her to bed. All of us went to sleep also. He came back, continued and later went and called for his mother. I don't know what happened there. At about midnight, I called her number and it was the husband who answered. I now thought of calling the man's mother and she told me to rush to the room and find out what was happening. When the kid's door was forcefully opened, Carrel was shocked with what she saw. I arrived, hit the door several times, and Clement Mendo, serving in the Cameroonian Navy, started shouting at me, saying I should break open the door since I have the strength. I decided to check through the window and discovered my mom lying helpless on the floor and the husband doing nothing to help her in the dying state. It is the man's son and mother who came looking through the window who helped me to break the door. Charlotte Claire Ngono was rushed to the Yaoundé General Hospital, but it was already too late as she died. Her family talks of assassination of their daughter by Clement Mendo. They need explanation of what actually happened from Clement. On the way to Oja, where the couples live, the suspect locks the gates from all, including the aggrieved family members, an act which amplified suspicion. He is wicked. Even when we carried our mother to the hospital, he said or did nothing to help. He came to the hospital several hours after. This is not the first time. He keeps threatening us with his firearm he used to threaten my mother with. Visits of the State Council, an investigation opened by the gendarmes, might unveil truth behind the death of Charlotte. The incriminated uniformed man, now in custody, talks of suicide committed by the woman using a tie. This is debunked by the family of the deceased. The corpse of Charlotte has been deposited in the morgue of the Yaoundé General Hospital. Family and neighbors of the couples in Oja are inconsolable and speechless, awaiting results of investigation opened on Charlotte's mysterious death.
Should Cameroonians accept and go for the anti-coronavirus vaccine? This question was on the discussion table in a meeting of some scientists in the University of Douala today, and they were examining the anti-coronavirus vaccination and, of course, other methods of fighting against the coronavirus, including African traditional medicine. Immaculate Fogwe has more.
The vaccination campaign against the coronavirus pandemic has been ongoing for several weeks in Cameroon, but a good number of Cameroonians are not willing to get themselves vaccinated due to vaccine skepticism. Majority of the population seem to have more faith and trust in home remedies like that of His Grace Samuel Cladas Adzak and LXZ COVID-19 treatment, which is reported to have cured thousands of infected people in the country. During a meeting that grouped some scientists in Cameroon, the role of herbal medicines in fighting the virus was re-echoed.
There is also the necessity of going back to our roots through the traditional medicines that is unexploited or that is not valorized enough in the country. That's why we gathered also onto the panel. Between the panelists, there are also strong practitioners, traditional practitioners who came and also proposed some solutions to the public.
Nevertheless, these scientists think the herbal treatments should, however, not hamper the administration of the COVID-19 vaccine, which seems to be the most effective method of containing the virus.
Because the aim of the conference is not like to tell to the people, the vaccine is not good or the vaccine is good, take the vaccine or don't take the vaccines, but just to raise awareness on the necessity of this. We cannot live without the vaccine or stay aside the vaccines. The vaccine can help us to break the transmissions drift of this disease.
In order to avoid an explosion of COVID-19 cases in the country, these scientists are urging the Cameroonian government to support local researchers as they go about looking for a cure.
More about that in some few minutes. Stay with us. Dr. Akami Mazarin, Assistant Lecturer, Microbial Ecologist, working in the Department of Biochemistry of the Faculty of Science, University of Douala, is our guest. Doctor, you're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Right. What do you think about the attitude of Cameroonians vis-a-vis the anti-COVID-19 vaccine? Many are still skeptical. Many are still doubting whether they should go for this vaccine, whether it is safe for them or not.
Yeah, the skepticism and also the doubts going on Cameroonian this time around about the anti-COVID vaccines stem from the fact that they don't have the enough official information or assurance information about these vaccines that is implemented in our country. So it is normal, for all human beings to questions about all those things going on, and the lack of this enough scientific information for the public lead the populations to just consume everything going on social media. You know that there are so many information actually going on social media about a campaign about the vaccines, against the vaccines and all those things. That is quite normal, I think, and it is on the back of this that the Department of Biochemistry of the University of Douala thought it wise to really come to the light and bring its contributions to the educations of the populations about the anti-COVID-19 vaccines.
So what were you people discussing today as far as the anti-COVID-19 vaccine is concerned? You were also talking about other options like the African traditional medicine, but first of all, the anti-COVID-19 vaccine, what were you people examining about that?
So we just tried to gather some experts around the topic to tell to the people that the vaccine is important, to tell to the people that we cannot do without the vaccines, to tell to the people that they don't need to have much doubt about those vaccines going on. And we brought some researchers, scientific researchers. It's not like we just tell them that go and take the vaccines without any scientific proof of about the security of the vaccines or about the necessity of taking the vaccines. We show them with the scientific proof that in the past times vaccines had helped the humanity to fight against epidemics or pandemics like COVID-19. Why not right now? People are still doubting, people are still reluctant about taking the vaccines. That's why we just brought them the right information for them to know about the anti-COVID vaccines and also the various security measures turning around those vaccines. The fact that the Cameroon government has adopted 2 or 3 vaccines actually being administered to the Cameroonians, it's not a decision, a hazard decisions like that. There are some works that have been done, there are some scientific research that have been done to ensure that the population, the Cameroonian population also can benefit from these vaccines and prevent themselves from the COVID-19 pandemic.
The doubts. Yes. The doubts in the minds of many, and the skeptical attitude towards the anti-COVID-19 vaccine is also coming from the fact that Cameroonians are not protected to a greater extent. I mean, consumers in Cameroon are not protected to a greater extent. There are goods of poor quality, goods that are even harmful to the human system that enter the country through illegal means, through the porous borders. Some are arrested, some are seized and destroyed, some are not. Medicine, food, and other things that are entering the country and are in the Cameroonian market without adequate control. So this is where there is also some doubt about the control measures that have been taken by the Cameroonian government with its battery of scientists to ensure the safety and security of Cameroonians as far as this vaccination against COVID-19 is concerned.
Yeah, of course, I can really understand the doubt. Cameroon is not a perfect country as well, and the effort that the government is actually doing is not negligible as well. And we should know that we will not say that everything is perfect about these vaccines. Until date, the vaccine is still is not compulsory for the Cameroonians. It means that all the Cameroonians are not deprived of their right to refuse or to refuse the vaccinations or to accept the vaccinations. They are free to decide by themselves. But the government on his side tried his best, like to raise these informations or to avail those vaccines to the Cameroonian. The problem is about the people that are availing information that have no scientific proof, that have no scientific foundation about the vaccines. That is normal for the populations, for a citizens on the street who is exposed to the social media to start believing on those things going on, or on the things that they tell them on the social media about the vaccines. That is why I said earlier, the lack of official information, of enough official information sensitization around these vaccines is also a factor that can lead the populations to doubt or to refuse the vaccines. And refusing the vaccine, it means that it's exposing our country to increasing the contamination rate of this pandemic. The only way for us to protect ourselves, the protection starts at the individual level. If people at the individual level are well protected, at the community level also will be well protected. So I understand very well the skepticism of the populations, the doubt among the population, but the population should believe it is not, the vaccines here are not a measure for, as the people are saying, that it is people are trying to destroy our population. They want to eradicate the Cameroon populations, the African populations about it. But I think that there are so many other ways if they want to eradicate the African populations that they can pass through. They cannot necessarily wait for the vaccine for that. I think there is a problem of understanding or comprehensions about these vaccines. There are so many misinformations. That's why I said the official, the people who are in charge of it should organize campaigns, more campaigns, sensitization.
Exactly, I was going to ask you that, because the Minister of Public Health, Dr. Manau Demalachi, has been speaking about this on mainstream media.
Yes.
And other authorities have been speaking. He himself took the vaccine. Other authorities have taken their own doses, even at the level of the regions, showing the example to the people, telling the people this thing is safe. It is safe for you to take, and it is good for you to protect yourself from the coronavirus. But that seems not to be convincing many people, and some are even going to the extent of asking the question, are you sure that the same vaccine administered to the minister or to the governor or to the DO, the SDO, is the same that will be administered on you? There are lots of questions like this coming up.
Yeah, it is really quite normal. Cameroonians how can I say, are always asking about questioning things, and the fact that the social media is around, people are making videos, informations, everybody is creating his channel, raising information to the public, and now more than half of the populations, our population, is exposed to the social media by listening to the same thing over and over, will make people to believe about it. But I think the question here is not like to compare if the vaccine received by the government administrative people are the same with the one that the common population are receiving. No, I think the common goal here is to come to the point of controlling the spread of the pandemic into our populations, and this cannot be done only through the government official, because if it is only the government official who are protected, it means that the protection cannot be total. That's why those people, they are not even like wandering around the street like us. We are the people who are going up and down in the street, exchanging with each other, and we are the most exposed to contaminating other people. That is why the main actor of the contaminations of this pandemic is individuals, human beings like you and I. That is why I think the question here is not to compare like the quality of the vaccine received by the government official. Is it the same, or is it the same or different from the one that is available for the populations? I think here is that we have a common goal. Our common goal is the COVID-19 pandemic, and in order for us to fight against this COVID pandemic, we have to go together. It is like a collective prospect. It's not like individual prospect. People don't just need to forget about this issue. It is just like a polemics around the COVID-19, but let us just stay focused. We want to fight against this disease. How should we do? The first thing to do is to respect the barrier measures that have been implemented or edicted by the government officials, and also there are so many conditions. We should wash our hands, and with all those things. That's, I think, the main objective right now is not like to let the polemics grow. But to see how we can protect ourselves and adopt security measures to fight collectively,
to focus on the most important thing, to focus on the enemy. And the enemy is the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, you before this, you were saying something about enhancing sensitization.
Yes.
How should government go about it? Should teams of volunteers or government workers, health workers, be deployed into the quarters, into the villages, to disseminate adequate information on this vaccination?
Exactly, I think so, because most of the time when the informations just remain institutional, most of the time the citizens, the grassroots citizens, most of the time they don't receive this information. That's why those campaigns should be well structured and well organized to the extent that they can reach the populations even in the various villages. And in the villages, most of the time there is not everybody that can speak English or can speak French, that can understand English or understand French, and the effort should be done also to spread the informations in various languages. I really appreciate when at the beginning of the outbreak of this pandemic, there are some campaigns about the measures, the barrier measures and all those things, but I realized that those measures have been implemented, have been spread like in various local languages, and these efforts should continue, because we can realize altogether that Cameroonians have been abandoning those measures, and the resurgence of the variants, the emergence of the new variants of this pandemic is showing us that we should not relent on observing those measures, those barrier measures, social distancing, washing our hands with hand sanitizer, and also all those things. We should keep observing them until the final victory won, until we defeat COVID-19.
And over 46 African countries have already detected the new variants coming from India, for example,
yes.
coming from the
South
UK,
Africa,
coming from South Africa,
yeah.
and the new variants are progressing, have been detected more and more in the different African countries. As of now, Cameroon is still at the level of the first variant, but there is need to take measures in
Yeah.
order not to get to start fighting the other variants that will may show up.
Yeah, exactly. There are some people who attended the conference today who even asked the questions why the government has adopted many type of vaccines. Like we have Sinopharm, we have Pfizer, AstraZeneca, and all those things. Why the government has adopted that? You know, there are some important issue about some peculiarities about the virus, because there is a problem with the virus that most of them lacks what we call the post-transcriptional regulations with the polymerase, which is an enzyme that allow the replications of the viral genome, and most of the time it makes errors. There are some errors that arise in such a way that the proteins that are supposed to be produced during a cycle of the replications of the viral genome, those proteins can be drifted out. We will find in other type of protein. That is why the new variants can emerge due to antigenic drift, because the genome that is supposed to produce the spike proteins, that is the antigenic proteins of the virus, for example, cannot be the same. And an organism that is already adopted, like that produce antibodies to fight against the spike of the old variant, the old form of the virus, can no more be able to recognize the new forms again. And these situations will keep on increasing with the spread of the contamination rate. The more the population is getting contaminated, the more we are exposed to get new variants of the virus. That is why adopting many type of vaccines is also a way to help to increase the rate of controlling the virus, because all those vaccines, they don't have the same mechanisms of actions, the same mode of actions. You know, most of the time the vaccines are attenuated pathogens that keep their immunological properties in such a way that once you inoculate them into the body, the body can produce like a human response by producing the antibodies against these vaccines, avoid these pathogens. And the other particularities of the COVID-19 is that there are some vaccines that are the RNA vaccines. That is what is spreading polemics around the vaccines. The RNA vaccines. RNA vaccine is what? It means that we produce the RNA that we inoculate into the body of an individual. Once into the body, those RNA will be translated immediately to produce the spike proteins of the virus, that is the antigens of the virus, into the body. And once those antigens of the virus is into the body, it will be recognized by the body, and the body will produce antibodies that will fight against
the foreign invasion,
the foreign infections. And the problem, the polemics, but the doubt that populations having about it is that, okay, normally it takes like 10 years or maybe 20 years to produce a vaccine. How come that
it has taken a short period of time to produce many vaccines, not just one, but
many vaccines? And also we can, this is one of the advantages of the scientific progress. We can, science 10 or 20 years back, it's not the same. Now things have been improving, technologies have been improving, and it is possible that within a very short period of time, people are working in the lab days and nights. People are researching for ways. That is why for the COVID-19, 3 months after the outbreak of COVID-19, they have already sequenced the genome, the viral genome of it. It means that there are people who are working about it, and it is possible that within 2 years, we can produce a vaccine. And the scientists who are saying, okay, the clinical trials are not enough, all those things, it is logical people to doubt about it. But when we are in front of a fact, everybody should align, because as you rightly said, we have a common enemy. We don't have two enemies here.
All right. And you were also discussing during that scientific meeting opportunities that African traditional medicine
Yes.
is presenting as far as the fight against COVID-19
Yeah.
is concerned. But those opportunities seem not to be very well known and exploited by even the government authorities, the health authorities, and
Yes.
so on. For example, Samuel Kleda came up with a traditional remedy to the COVID-19, but we have not heard much about this for quite a long time now, even though he indicated that several persons, more than 100, had been healed by that medicine which he produced.
Yeah, there is a problem of follow-up of traditional healers. You know, Cameroon has a very rich potentials in terms of traditional medicine. Our biodiversity is so rich in such a way that we can be autonomous in this time. We can be autonomous in protecting ourselves in the face of this pandemic, of such pandemic. The problem is a problem of organizations. People, traditional healers are not well organized. Traditional healers are not well followed up by the government, maybe not enough. And that is why a traditional healer, maybe from Douala, can discover a very important medicines that cannot be beneficial to the populations of the far north, because there is not enough campaign of it. And you know, in the West Africa, to be more precise, in Senegal or in Mali, it is well structured. Even in the pharmacy, you will find some traditional formulations that even the medical doctors, they prescribe to the patients to go and collect it. Why in Cameroon this is pending? One of us, like Mr. Tazon today, at the one of the panelists during the discussions today, also raised this awareness that there is so many blockages, administrative blockages, and also at the levels of even the populations. You know, they just need to be well accompanied, and also we need to align a scientific approach to the traditional medicines, because there is a problem of maybe of dosages, there is a problem of conditioning, there is a problem like the security, the storage, the handling of those products that can really maybe destroy the bioactive elements that are present in those formulations. And the most important thing is that we have to optimize the list that we have, the least bioactive elements that can help to fight against something, against any kind of pathology. We need to enhance, optimize their efficacy, and the efficacy cannot be optimized if the exploitations of or the use of our traditional medicine remains traditional. It means that we need to put a scientific approach that can lead to industrializations and also nationwide implementations of the traditional medicine, so that the traditional medicines of Cameroon biodiversity can be helpful or can bring its contributions to the development of the country. Because the new visions of the research right now is to align the research for the development of the country. If we cannot align the research for the development of the country, it means that we are doing research for nothing.
Many of the traditional practitioners
Yes.
are collaborating with modern medicine.
Yes.
Many of them send their clients or their patients to hospitals to go through a proper diagnosis of what they are suffering from.
Yeah.
And once that is detected, clearly established by medical doctor, then they can proceed with the treatment. What should be done more to enhance this collaboration, to close the gap that is still existing between traditional medicine and modern medicine?
So the traditional practitioners and the modern practitioners, they should stop seeing each other like enemies. They should work together, because when we listen to Mr. Tazon today, you will have the feeling that those people, the two components, consider themselves as enemy. The traditional, maybe the modern practitioners, they see the traditional healers as a threat. I don't know why. Whereas they need to be complementary. They need to work together, because most of the solutions that they offer, they can be reliable solutions, they can be a very good solution, and there are so many proof of the efficacy of their products. So, and also, you know, there is also like a economical problems also, because those people, they say most of the time they have their own pharmacies, they have their own maybe clinic. They cannot like allow people, okay, to go to the to consult the traditional healers and so on and so forth. But I think that those people should come together, should work together, because
they should collaborate more.
They should collaborate to increase the efficacy of their practices.
All right, Dr. Kami Mazrin, assistant lecturer, microbial ecologist working in the Department of Biochemistry, the Faculty of Science, University of Douala. Thank you for your time, Doctor.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for this weekend edition of the 6 p.m. newscast. To have a nice weekend in the company of our programs. Coming up next, Equinoxe.